Welcome to Unity Talks, where the hiring experts of Dallas-based recruiting firm Unity Search engage in lively discussion with successful business leaders to dissect their careers and how they got to where they are today, the obstacles overcome to reach their success, and steps they've taken to stay at the top of their respective fields. So listen in as we provide you with the thought-provoking conversation and ideas that keep industries moving forward.
And welcome back to another edition of the Unity Talks podcast. I'm your host, David Cathey, one of the partners at Unity Search, where we help finance, accounting, tax, human resources, information technology, and all of those areas find and secure the best people to perform the job. We work in Dallas, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. But today we're talking about balance with our guests. Here's what I mean by that. I know that when I reflect on my career, I have been in so many different seasons where I feel like I look back and I'm like, man, did I really put my career first or did I put my family first? And then your kids play sports and you're trying to divide your time. And our two guests today will be exploring the conversation of balance with me. One of them in particular, I just imagine had a tough time creating balance because there's a little bit of a political career angle along with the professional career, along with being a husband and a father. So welcoming our guest, Patrick, Tim Kelly. How are y'all doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
Good to see you.
Awesome. Okay, so Patrick's directly to my right, so we're going to take a 2-minute infomercial on Patrick. He is the one I was referring to where we've got a little bit of a political angle, which you got to tell us about that.
Sure.
Wife, couple kids, and then your professional career.
You left musician out, so
Musician too. Okay, we're just going to add things too.
So yeah, no. So so where do you even get started? So I guess professionally, I moved to the Dallas area about 2000 to work for Ernst & Young for a bit. I've always been entrepreneurial at heart. I had an opportunity to join a company called Fitel, where I was employee number 5. Wife was pregnant, just bought a house. Sounds like a good risk to take at that juncture. So we did anyway.
Sure.
So that worked out really, really well. So we wound up selling that company in 2015 to IBM, became part of Watson Health. The founder of that company, myself, we actually left in 2009 to start another company called Loopback Analytics. That just had an exit professionally with a PE group. A couple years ago. This company that I'm with now, we founded this company based out of frustrations as a technology executive, being able to find fractional help. Everybody wanted to have, minimum 2 developers come on staff, probably a project manager, minimum 6 months. I'm like, I just need somebody for 20 hours just to help my team through something. I could not find that kind of resource. So this company was founded about 2.5 years ago out of that frustration.
Yeah.
As you said before, I balance that with I'm a husband. I've been married for 29 years. Doing the math real quick.
Let's check.
29 years, absolutely. 3 kids. 2 have graduated from Baylor already. 1 works for KPMG as a CPA. 1 works for Deloitte up in DC in logistics and supply chain, and 1 will be graduating with an IS degree. Just got an offer from Bell Helicopter. He'll be graduating in May.
Love it.
So did that. First started serving as elected official back in 2012. I was in a neighborhood, and we were governed by water districts. Never heard of that form of government before. So I did some research on that, and it started with like a lot of this stuff starts off with people, and I'm looking at not Facebook at the time, it's pre-Facebook, kind of a neighborhood wiki, and there's something going on, and there's some people talking back and forth, and I thought somebody should do something. I had that typed in, and I went, I'm somebody. I guess I could do something. I'm as good as anybody else, right? So jumped in there, and that started my political career. We got annexed in by the city of Louisville in 2021. I've been serving as city councilman with that group for, I guess, 4 years. Just reelected a second time now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's great, yeah. But it's balancing is difficult.
That it is. We're going to try to solve the world's problems here in just a second. Okay, Tim.
Yeah, so my name's Tim Kelly. I'm far less interesting than my brother Patrick.
Not according to mom.
I got other than mom. Yeah, but I've been in consumer packaged goods for many years. I was with PepsiCo, Frito-Lay for around 11 years.
Oh wow!
And I've spent some years in several private equity owned companies. Teasdale Latin Foods for about 4 years, which they were here in Carrollton, and also around 3 years with Spice World. You probably don't know what they do, but all those little jars of garlic you have all the way in the back of your refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And they make most of those. So, as far as balance goes, I was commuting back and forth for the first year, almost every week, Sunday through Thursday, right? thereafter, I metered that back, but finding balance there, and luckily I have a supportive wife. I have 3 awesome kids. One's still in the house, so that's kind of me. Again, I don't have anything nearly as interesting as a musician and a politician and all the everything else, but I like.
In your opinion, but other people would say, "Hey, you're just as interesting."
I like to think that.
That's right.
Yeah. So as you've heard, we're balancing careers, we're balancing families, we're balancing being a husband, and in one instance, we're balancing a political life. But you two are brothers. So tell me about growing up. What did you notice from your parents? Because we're talking about baby boomers, right?
Yep.
And their world is so different than what your kids are living in today. Yep. Crazy different. And we're kind of the glue that bridges those two worlds, the Gen X crowd. So what did y'all observe, notice about parents when it comes to balancing all of those priorities?
So it's interesting because, I'm the older brother by about 3 years, I guess.
Right.
And when you're the third favorite out of two kids, it's
you don't know that for a fact.
I don't know that's a fact. But all kidding aside, we had, I think what's normal is whatever you grew up with, right? So our dad was military, so we jog around every couple 3 years we moved. I was actually born in Japan, and we did some time in Georgia, Iowa. He was born in Anchorage, so we did 2 tours in Alaska, a couple tours in Texas. So we bounced around quite a bit. I think that growing up, it was kind of a traditional household. My mom had a job here and there. When I was in college, she started the headhunting group, recruiting group. But for the most part, she stayed at home, took care of kids. My dad was full-time military. But I do remember thinking, having my dad in particular talk to us about do everything you can and then a little bit more. So you go out there, you give your best effort. And then once you're done with that, give it a little bit more and make sure you finish off the job strong. That's kind of, in a nutshell, my takeaway.
Yeah.
Tim?
Yeah. I mean, kind of going back, I mean, we moved from Japan to Alaska and we drove all this place, everywhere.
We didn't drive from Japan.
A little bit, but drove from Alaska to Iowa to Georgia, back to Alaska, back to Texas. And, you really, there's you talk about balance and trying to, get through some things. I mean, there were some times there where it was challenging.
It was,
right. That was at a time where the Alaskan Canadian highway was just gravel, and it was several days of travel, and but I mean we stuck together as a family.
That's important.
And we got through it. And we try to glean the good stuff, right?
That's right.
And forget about the all the stuff that was just challenging, right?
That's right.
But I mean that's really what we learned from a balance perspective, which is family is the most important. And and if you stick together, then you're gonna be fine. And that's why we're here now.
Yeah, one of the things, so here's how I'm going to weave what you just said into the bigger picture for our audience. I mentioned this to you earlier today, where I feel like Gen X, which is the generation we're in, we were like good soldiers. And your dad was military. So literally, my dad was Air Force.
Okay.
And so, so you're just a good soldier. So you begin your career and it's like, if the boss says we're working the weekends, you say yes, sir, and you're working the weekends. And there was no clock. It wasn't like you punched in, punched out. In our world, we were in a white collar world, not a blue collar world. So we weren't punching in, punching out and going, all right, I'm done. So, we just kept going like the Energizer Bunny. And I was a young married dad when I graduated college. And I can remember plenty of seasons where I felt like I was married to the job because that's how I was trained growing up. And then we all have kids around the same age. And I've just noticed how the younger generation isn't as much the good soldier like we were. They're going to push back. They're not going to sign up for, oh, you want me to work 90 hours? Probably not. And some of that's good, some of that's bad. And am I by myself in this, or have y'all noticed this generational shift where even Gen X can learn perhaps from some of our younger generation?
So interesting. So my son he just joined the KPMG, just graduated last May, just joined. He went through his first tax season.
Okay.
And these are the 80 hour
God bless his soul.
Oh my goodness. So, but he was raised in the same way that we were raised. Like you dig in, you take it, you take and you do it. And he survived, and he's better for it coming out the other side. I'll say I concur. I think there's still plenty of people out there in the current generation who are willing to put in the hours and work. The good news for them is because they stand out. The people who own the companies these days, me, you, Tim, make the decisions. They get promoted fast and hard, and because it's unfair, right? It'd be unfair to promote somebody else who had a different set of values. It's not right or wrong. They can do what they want to do, but I've got to grow my company. I've got to grow my team if I'm working for a bigger company, and I'm going to reward the ways that I'm empowered to reward the people who do the things that help me grow. That's just the way it is. Not to be mean. It's just how it is. I will say you were talking about learning. I don't know that I can learn anymore. I've been a small startup guy forever and ever. Probably done 4 or 5, and even when I was with bigger companies, I usually came in and started a team within the bigger companies. And I said before, talking to him, I'm dead and broken inside. There's no helping me. I have no concept of what a normal work day is, weekends or whatever. We get the job done. And I've surrounded myself with this company of people who knew what they're getting into. I worked with them at other companies. And when they saw that we were starting this new company, they sought me out and looked to join as well, because they knew what they were getting into. And I'm blessed to have folks like that are part of my team.
Yeah, and from my point of view, you're right. I mean, it's generational. The bright spot there, I think, is a focus on results, right? So, from what I've seen, you don't have to work 80 hours a week, potentially. And sometimes you just have to do it, right? Sometimes it just there's too much stuff. But a focus on results. Versus there's somebody that I can see his head popping up over the cubicle there at 7 p.m. It's refreshing. Patrick has worked way harder than I ever have. It's just the truth, right?
And I'm broken.
You're broken, right? And I've tried to maintain a little bit of a different balance and with pluses and minuses, right? He's wildly successful. I'm okay, right? But no, seriously, I'm not trying to whatever. But no, I mean, it's really a focus on results, and if we can keep that up, if we can keep that tenor, up, then I think we'll be okay, right?
Yeah. No, I like what you said, that it is results oriented now more than ever, because there was a time where it was just putting FaceTime.
That's right. Yeah.
And you're going to have to do those. Everybody has to do those things. And if you're the person that's always going to push back on that, then you might find yourself looking for a position at some point in time. So, but results have begun to outweigh. And I think COVID in 2020 pushed that further, because it became less about having FaceTime and showing up at the office, because nobody showed up at the office. It was about, what are you producing to help move the ball down the field for the company? I know for me, when I looked at it, talking about having a dad that was in the Air Force, it was, he basically had said, hey, you know what, give more than what you think is necessary early in your career, and it's going to set you up for success later in your career. He didn't feel like he did that, and that was one piece of, give more now, and you'll see the return. Have you seen that?
I have, actually. This is you have stages in life, and when the best time to take risk and give more is if you can do it before you have the kids, before you have the responsibility, before you have the spouse, before you get married. And then at the end of your career, when you've made your money, hopefully your house is paid off, you don't have car payments, the kids are out of college, those are prime times to take a lot of risk. All that in between time, you got to be a little more measured. I do want to go back real quick, because I'm replaying the conversation we just had in my head. And I want to point out there is a crossover point where you're going to lose somebody if they push too hard. And I've had a couple conversations. I'm thinking of somebody right now. She'll know exactly who I'm talking about when she watches this. But I called her into my office. This was about 10 years ago, and she's working with me again now. And she was just frustrated and frazzled. And I said, well, did you go to lunch today? She says, I never have time for lunch. I said, I'm going to make that a performance metric for you on your next review to get the lunch. I need you at lunch 3 times a week because I can't have you burning out. You're no good to me if you burn out and inflame and just leave.
Yeah.
So I had to actually
advice.
push on the other direction. And she kind of met the metric, but it's not all or nothing. So I want to make that clear.
Yeah.
Now I forgot the question you'd asked me before I just jumped into that. So.
No, I actually want to stay on that too, because I really think that's good. I think that's good for leaders who are watching this to realize, like, you have to observe. You got to look across your team, not just at one individual. We want to treat them as individuals and look and go, you know what? Is this person getting burnt out?
Yep.
Okay, let's explore that. Whereas this person over here on your team, they're running fine and they're running and gunning. So we have to be aware of that. And I think one of the things that I've learned is balance means different things for different people because we're all in different seasons of life.
Yep.
You know, you've got a couple of kids, kid in high school, kid in college, kids that graduated college. Those are different seasons of life. So they need different parenting at those times.
Yep.
Just like our employees are in different seasons of life. And for her, spending so much time at the office and doing the work, you can see that burnout coming, likely because you've been there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And it doesn't do anybody any good to lose a great employee just because they're clocking more hours. That to your point earlier, that's not the goal.
Right.
It's not to clock more hours, it's to clock quality time and get things done.
And there's definitely a timing thing too, right? So again, going back to our childhood, our upbringing, you know, our mom didn't have the opportunity to really fully explore a professional career. She was moving every 2 to 3 years. So she had to take whatever job she had, right? But once we settled, you know, she took this opportunity to create a recruiting firm, a technical recruiting firm that recruited MOSs out of the military.
Yep.
And it was very much this is a season of her life where she wants to do something, and she worked so hard, and she put us through college. She put both of us through college. Period. You know, both. You know, so it's really about the seasons. It's really about, you know, there's a time to do this and there's time to do that, and sometimes you have to adjust those a little bit, right? But in general, you get that balance there, and it's a good thing, right? But again, it really very much is about the timing of your life, right?
Yeah.
What phase are you in?
And that was a neat thing to watch as well, because that was entrepreneurially inspiring.
Yeah.
She didn't start off recruiting. She started off rating resumes.
That's right.
Reviewing resumes, and then she would send resumes off, and through that connection, so I said, well, you have this, do you have any people like this? And that turned into a recruiting endeavor.
Yeah.
So she grew that company, and I went, that's kind of neat. No particular training for it, just saw some opportunity and seized it. So
when you think about leaders in the workforce now, they're leading an organization, they're leading a department, and they've got just a mixture of employees working for them. I'm sure at times they could be really frustrated because they're sitting there going, look, I walked uphill in the snow barefoot both ways, you know, to get to work, and here you are, and as soon as the clock hits 5 o'clock, you're out the door. You know, you're already packed up at 4:50. What is some advice to those leaders who get frustrated with that? What is some advice for, I guess, 2 things. Number 1, their self-talk. And then number 2, how do they approach an employee to have that conversation?
I think going back to Tim's point about results, right? So everybody deserves to be measured and based on data. So if you're leaving at 5 o'clock and you're producing as much as somebody who's staying till 7 or 8, good on you. That's fantastic. So you have that conversation not based upon when you clock in and out, but the results that you're driving. And one of the things that I've learned over the years, and we've started doing at this company, is we do continuous reviews. The idea that you can review somebody for a full year in March is ridiculous. You get reviewed on the last 3 months of your work, good, bad, or indifferent. So we actually review every month. We have our one-on-ones. Those roll up. So when we have at the end of the year, that review is just another month for them, and you get your merit and your raises based on that. So I'm hedging a little bit against the hours thing, more about the results thing. I will say, if you're not getting the results or the hours in, and not have to put in the effort, whose fault is that? Who hired that person? It was me. I hired that person. It's time to make a correction. And I will say, you know, on that topic, I have never regretted terming somebody that wasn't performing. I've often regretted waiting too long to term somebody who's not performing, and that does not age well. It's not fun. Even people who quote unquote deserve to be termed, that is a hard conversation because you envision they're going to go home, they have to tell their kids and their wife and their mom and dad that they're no longer with the company. It's not fun, but a lot of times they wind up. I've been fired. I was turned from a company. It happens.
Yeah, happens.
So anyway, so I think you got to look introspectively about why is that person there? Whose fault was it? It's not their fault if you hired them. You hired them. Did you not set expectations right? Did you not interview correctly? What's the opportunity to improve that process? And when you're hiring, I like to hire on three things: attitude, aptitude, and ability, in that order. Because I can teach you and my team can teach you great things in how to work. I can't change your attitude if you have a bad attitude, and I can't tell you how to learn things. Those are things I just expect when you come in. And I will take those three in that order every day, all day.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
You know, and Patrick, to your point, I mean, it is so, you know, I've been more in the corporate side of my career, right? I mean, KPMG and everything else, but he was with a lot more startups and things of that nature. But I've spent a lot more time in the corporate world, the larger companies, and there's so much platitudes, so many platitudes, and so much, you know, that's refreshing, right? And if we can do that, that's great. But let's be real, the performance reviews are a chore.
They suck.
And they are like, okay, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's so critical because you can't come back, you know, 10 months later and said, boy, you really screwed that one up,
That's right.
right? You know, you wouldn't do that with anything else in your life.
Nope.
You know, said, oh, I missed that exit when I was driving, you know, 3 months ago or whatever it is, you know. So if we can get, you know, that cadence into more of a, you know, every 3 months or whatever it is, continuous feedback loop, it's great. I mean, it's very powerful. So Patrick, I mean, that's what everybody should be doing.
Yeah.
And you know, people treat performance reviews as a chore.
Yeah.
And that's not the way it should be.
One of the things I really appreciate what both of y'all talked about is every time I've mentioned hours or they're right at 5 o'clock or so, you steer the conversation back to performance and productivity, which I love. I think that is, I mentioned this earlier, I think that's a change that society has undergone because I do think we came from a society of hours and FaceTime. And I love that y'all are steering it back to, hey, let's just talk about the performance. Because, you know, at Unity, we think the same way. Like if you are producing, you know what? Yeah, you want to leave every Friday early or not come in and just say, hey, and we go, man, they're really producing. We don't care.
That's right.
Yeah, take off. But if you're not producing, you probably need to be reaching out to your clients, reaching out to your candidates, and making those connections. And so I've just seen that over the course of my career where that has shifted. Okay, so you both have kids that have just exited college, are in college. And you're thinking about launching them out into the world, and in your case, you've already launched a few out in the So what is the advice? I told you the advice I got from my dad.
Sure.
I appreciated it. What is the advice that you launch them out there with?
So, and this is hard because not everybody is built the same way. It's but networking is the key to getting successful. You know, going to Indeed or Monster or something like that, that's okay, but you can be one of thousands of resumes that come in. Most of the great hires and great positions are done by word of mouth because nobody's going to gamble on an unknown. I will hire somebody that I'm questionable about that came as a recommendation from somebody in this room or from a friend, or better yet, an employee who's going to work with that person. Even if I interview them and go, I have doubts, but you know, John recommended that person, and John, I like John, I trust John. Get that network going. That's the number one thing you can do to be successful in your career is network. This right here, this was a networking thing. Tim just called me up yesterday and said, hey, I was talking to some people. Do you want to do a podcast tomorrow? Sure, that sounds great. Let's do that. So absolutely.
And from my point of view, and it sounds a little cliche, but do what you enjoy. And now, again, that sounds very cliche, right? As far as, you know, we all can't be, you know, whatever, you insert whatever career it is that I love to do. However, so for instance, I look at myself, right? I really enjoy building things. That's what I do. That's what I do in my personal life. That's what I love to do and that I excel at in my business career. And that's how I've gotten from where I was to where I am, is building and creating. And you recognize that early. I recognize that early going, okay, this is something that really, you know, catches my attention and really makes me smile, and I can try be building. And this again, this is so nerdy, but like I can be building a budget template for 12 hours, and I'll look and I go, wow, it's 12 hours. Okay, right. Again, it's nerdy. It's nerdy, right? But again, it's things like that where it doesn't have to be. I want to do something that's not going to be support myself and my family, but look at those fringes. Look at what can support yourself, but also what you can, what niches or subsets of that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, I want to riff on that just a little bit because I do think now we're back to balance, right? Yeah. And there's things that all you can do is stack the odds in your favor. There's no guarantees that if you work 60 hours a week and hit all your numbers that you're going to be higher, still have that job in a year. There's a great book called The Hard Thing About Hard Things that I've had to read a couple of times that talk about you've got a loyal group, but just because of the way things are, you have to let 3 people go. These are people who busted their butt. These are people who saw you through the hard times, but the company has to survive. And you got to find people that go. So you can't always, I'm jumping a little bit here, but you can't always make a living at what you love to do. In which case, that's why it's a hobby. Yeah, I'm an adequate guitar player, but it's a hobby. Right, that's I do it, and I have some guys in my own age, and we play around about once a quarter. Leanne gets mad if I do more than once a quarter, but it's fun. But I would never, I couldn't go on the road. I love doing it, probably more than I like doing the work that I'm doing now. I could sit and play my guitar all day, but it's not in the cards for me, and I recognize that. So I had to find something else. My secondary passion, what you do with financial templates. I'm in Power BI or Tableau. I love to look at data, explore data. So much so that sometimes I look up and I went, I should have been doing some building up my company, some business administration stuff, and no, but I want another hour of doing this stuff, right? Yeah. So anyway,
and Patrick, I'd like to say you could at least bump it up to once a month. You're a good enough guitarist where you could do at least once a month.
Oh, what's really funny about that is they've done studies where they've seen, like let's say that I love to make cupcakes, right? Yeah. And so I'm like, I'm going to open up my cupcake shop. And then I realized I'm not making cupcakes. I'm running a business. Yep. So I fall out of love with making cupcakes and I want to get back into a corporate job so that I can go back to having cupcakes as my hobby, right? When I think about balance, Patrick, I'm going to pause on you for a minute. Sure. You've got a corporate job. At the same time, you're a husband, you've got kids, and then at the same time, you're a public official. You're serving in the city of Louisville.
That's right.
What are some critical lessons that you have had to learn? Because family comes first, right? Your wife and your kids come. But you're pulled in a bunch of different directions. What are some critical lessons that you think should be passed on?
I think not all lessons translate to different roles that you play. So by way of example, when I first got on to city council, I did not understand why things took so long. I was like, oh, government's inefficient. Why does this take so long? And maybe there's some of that, but you just can't take what you know in the business world and just readily apply it to the government. At least not immediately. You have to get people to warm up to that idea. By the same token, the concept of making sure you use all your budget so that you don't get dinged the next year, that's foreign to me. But that's a corporate as well. Yeah. Right? You got to use all your budget. Otherwise, you get less budget next year.
Yeah. Use it or lose it.
As a small business guy and a startup guy, that baffles me. I don't even know how that's a thing. So I think if there's a lesson to be taken out of that, there's some things that translate: work hard, do good things, be a good person. These are universal. But there's other things that you have to go in and realize that there's people who've been doing this longer than you have. Learn from them. Try to improve on what they already done, but you can't go into a room going, I'm going to teach you guys all how to run a council meeting. I'm going to teach you how to run a city. They've been doing it a long time, and there's reasons why things are the way they are. Learn that first, and then figure out if you can help.
Yeah, that's good. Let's real quick as we wind this down, spouses.
Oh yeah.
They got to buy in.
They do got to buy in.
Because then at home is not going to be as fun as at home should be. And you're going to be at home for the rest of your life with your spouse, hopefully. Yeah. So, is there a family discussion with kids? Is it just the spouse? How do you get on the same page? What does that look like?
So we did exactly that. When we had our first child, and I remember we sat down, we said, okay, we're both kind of starting off our careers. We had a vision of what we wanted a family to look like, which meant that somebody was going to go part-time or at least work from home. And who should that be? And we talked about that for a bit. And it wound up being, I was going to be the primary, breadwinner is wrong, the primary money getter, I guess is probably the word. and then Leanne was going to focus on family and keeping the house together. I could not live the life I want to live without her support. It doesn't matter where the money's coming from. It all goes into a pool. We don't have separate accounts. It just goes in. She has a better idea of what our finances look like than I do, because she writes the checks and stuff like that. But yeah, you got to find somebody who is your half, or in my case, my better half, literally, who's willing to make some sacrifices for the betterment of the family as a whole. She could be much further along in her career if she had focused more on her career, but that wasn't the kind of family we wanted to have.
Yeah.
You need the support of a spouse. Find somebody who's going to work with you.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, I've been married to my wife, Lauren, for about 10 years, almost 11 years. So we're a blended family. I have 2 biological kiddos of my own, and then, a stepdaughter who's still in high school. And the topic of balance really has been just front and center, right? Because I've been out of work for several months, right? And she's an auditory speech pathologist. She teaches kiddos to that have cochlear implants to translate the signals. So if there's wheels on the bus, go around it. Literally, it's a very taxing role, and it's very rewarding, but also very emotionally draining, right? And she's flexed to pick up more kids, as I'm looking to my next opportunity. So the talk of balance has been front and center in our house, right? It's been front and center because typically I've been the breadwinner and she worked part-time, and that's great. So from that point of view, it's a matter of making sure you communicate, and making sure that you've got a true partner, which I'm fortunate that I do, as does Patrick, that will flex as needed.
Yeah.
The flex is needed, and again, it's been very much a topic over the course of the last several months of balance, and how do we do that? So, I do all the dishes, I vacuum the floor. It's literally, it's like you have to make sure that everybody's bringing something to the table.
It's partnership.
Bringing something to the table, and through that, you get through it.
I will say, I'm leaning one more time here on this topic because it's important, right?
Yeah.
I think through all of this, almost 30 years of marriage and 26 years of being a dad, I don't think I've missed anything important. Never missed a graduation, never missed a birthday. And it's because Leanne being a partner and understanding, I got to work an extra 15 hours at the beginning of the week so I can take half a day off on Thursday to go do whatever we got to do. We work together to make that happen.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't do it on my own.
Yeah.
And she couldn't do it without me either. Well, she probably could do it.
Yeah.
But I can't do it.
Yeah. No, I think that's fantastic. The 3 words that I listened, both of y'all touched on these, were communication is critical, right?
Yep.
Patrick, you said vision. We had a vision for what we wanted for our family. And so you did a little vision casting. And then you've got to constantly communicate monthly, weekly, whatever that cadence is, back to, are we still going down the right path where our vision is, or has our vision changed? And if the vision's changed, that's okay. You communicate. And then it was about finding that right partner, right? Because it takes 2 people to lead a family. You can do one and it becomes a split family, and that's the reality of what happens. But those 2, one here, a mom here and a dad here who are no longer together, it still takes communication in order to raise a kid the way you should. So I love that. All right, last question here, okay? For one for you and one for you. It's going to be the same question. So practical advice, and what since y'all both have kids entering and being early in the workforce, I talk a lot about, you've got leaders that listen to our podcast, you've got climbers, and climbers are the people that, man, they want to be in a leadership role, and they're going to do whatever they need to do. They're going to pull the 90 hours because, hey, this is what we've got to do, and I want to be a top performer. So when we think of those climbers, what is the one thing that they can practically begin doing tomorrow? That practical first step where they can say, you know what? I need to take a step back and think about my balance. If this is what I want in my career, and they vision cast in their career, okay, what should they be asking themselves? What is the practical next step that they should take?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to contemplate that question for me. That's an important question, right?
Yeah.
I'd say go fail at something. Go take a little bit of risk. Now, don't be reckless. Reckless and failure are not the same thing, right? You can fail by being reckless, but measure your environment. Think about what you want to do. Do you have to take classes? Do you need to go get another degree? Do you need to go to a trade school? Do you need to go take guitar lessons because you need to unwind a little bit? But go fail at something. Go find something, give it your best shot, and be ready to fail. Then learn from that, and come on a podcast at some juncture and talk about your failures. Right?
I love that. I love it. Hey, I'm gonna pause on that, and I want your answer. Yeah. Here's one of the reasons why I love that. Real quick, just to pause on that is, at one point in time, I realized that I still feel this way. My team may not be failing enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I said this the other day in one of our all hands events. And the narrative that toddlers learn faster than adults. And when you really think about it, how much of a day does a toddler spend on the edge of their ability?
Oh, yeah.
The majority of the day, they are on the edge of their ability, but all of a sudden we become an adult and we rarely test the edge of our ability because of that fear of failure. Yep. And so at one point in time, I went through the season of trying to normalize failure for our team. And I called it, when we would have a Friday call, and I would say, hey, Failure Friday, tell us your biggest failure of the week. Because I just wanted it to be a normal thing, because that means you're pushing yourself. So I love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tim?
So to that end, Patrick, I've failed at guitar lessons multiple times. So multiple times on multiple levels. Right. Oh yeah, no, it's over there. It's in the corner. But so my take on it is a little, it's the same, but it's a little different. Is blink and you're gonna miss it. Okay.
Yep.
And that's not what's going to make you climb the corporate ladder necessarily. But you need to use that as a backdrop for your entire life, right? I'm not suggesting you should, it should just be a constant check in your head as you're going through life that, you get one shot, right? You get one shot. And so keep that in mind as you're planning out your career. It should always be that backdrop of, how do I balance? How do I balance? Right. That's my big thing. Right.
Yeah.
Is make sure that you don't turn around, 40 years later and your life is gone. And,
what happened?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but again, work hard, do your thing. But always keep that in the back of your head.
Yeah. Tim, Patrick.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Absolutely. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank you all so much for sharing your thoughts and ideas about family, about work, about balance. Thank you very much. To our guest, thank you all for joining us so much each and every week that we have one of these podcasts that roll out. Here's what I'm going to be left thinking about after this discussion is, number one, it reconfirmed, family is important, and it takes communication, it takes vision casting, and it takes a strong partner to make it through life together. And that's the most important thing that we have. Here's the second thing from a professional standpoint. I love the direction that society has taken us, because when I first started my career, it was FaceTime. And now it's, are you being productive? And how productive are you being? What are you bringing to the table to help move the ball down the field for the organization? And if it takes you 5 hours to do what it takes someone else 10 hours to do, good for you. But it's about the production, not as much about FaceTime. So I'd love to know what you think and have thought of this discussion as you ponder and contemplate balance in your life. And until next time.
If you're looking for the next step in your career or the missing piece for your team, Unity Search has you covered. Whether it's finance and accounting, tax services, information technology, or human resources, Unity Search is here for you with experienced and dedicated hiring professionals. Reach out today and take the next step. Unity Search, placing you first.